Go to item number 20, Commission Regulation 16-10, 2016 Black Bear Season. Wildlife Staff Specialist Pat Jackson for possible action. The Commission will consider the adoption of 2016 hunting season dates, open management units, hunting hours, special regulations, animal sex, legal weapon requirements, hunt boundary restrictions, and dates and times for indoctrination courses for black bear. The department will provide the annual hunt and population status report following the 2015 season. Mr. Jackson.
Pat Jackson, Predator Management Staff Specialist for the record. I'm going to give a short bear status report. The 2015 hunt, 41 resident tags were issued with 4 non-resident tags issued. The harvest limit was set at 20. We received 2,209 resident applications, 129 non-resident applications, and 2 residents turned in their tags, and no alternatives were selected due to the proximity to the opening of the hunt. 14 bears were harvested, 6 female, 8 male. You could see in the bottom table the 43% of the females, 43% of the harvest were females, 83% of those females were adult, and the mean age of males was 8.5. And these are some indices that we use to look at trends of harvesting our animals. Other bear mortalities, we had 4 die from various accidents, and 8 were euthanized in the name of public safety. We have 4 different projects, either ongoing or being wrapped up for research, black bears in the state of Nevada. This was a heritage project in conjunction with the University of Nevada, Reno. And the takeaway message you can see in the summary of results, the genetic flow is generally from the west to the east, California. I don't believe that's a big surprise. And perhaps a little more enlightening would be the genetic flow from the pine nuts north. Another heritage project involved the isotope analysis of black bears. This was a partnership with University of Tennessee, and summary of the findings here are that a lot of black bears in Nevada have quite the anthropomorphic influence diet, and this manuscript is currently being drafted. We also have a PhD, now it's Dr. Wine Grant. She just defended her dissertation, and she's wrapping up her manuscripts as well from chapters in her dissertation looking at the modeling impacts of human factors on habitat and resources selection by black bears. And then, as I spoke yesterday, we also have the ongoing Project 32, looking at the interactions between mountain lions and black bears and how mountain lions may be expediting the recolonization of black bears in Nevada. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Questions from the Commission? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Jackson. We'll open it up. County Advisory Board input on item number 20, black bear seasons.
Sean Shea, Washoe County, and I know this is a super controversial issue for everybody, but we voted 3-1 in favor of the regulation, except we had one exception, is to change that start day from September 15th to September 1st, because originally I believe it was set September 15th because of the Labor Day and everybody hiking the Tahoe Run Trail, but we can't hunt into that Tahoe Basin, so I think giving the 15 more days would give it more opportunity. So, thank you.
For the record, Bob Rittenhouse, Douglas County.
Mr. Rittenhouse, could you please make sure to get in the speaker so our folks in Reno.
Is it there? Okay. Okay, our CAB meeting agreed with the general concept of the legislation. However, we did discuss the possible amendments, and that would be Number one, remove the restrictions in Unit 192 and 194. Add a Unit 203. Make a shotgun a legal weapon. Increase the number of bear tags to 51 so that we could possibly generate a governor's tag where the revenues would be dedicated to bear research. Thank you.
Additional County Advisory Board input? Seeing none, public comment in Las Vegas?
Excuse me. Karen Taylor, Washoe County resident. I'm going to read a statement from No Bear Hunt, Nevada, into the minutes, and I believe each one of you has a copy of this statement. Nevada Wildlife Commissioners, NoBearHuntNevada.org opposes the Nevada bear hunt in totality. Recognizing the likelihood a 2016 hunt will be conducted, and in light of the new information generated from the 2015 hunt, we request reconsideration of the 3 motions voted on by the Nevada Department of Wildlife Bear Committee when conducting the 3-year hunt review recommended by the 2013 Nevada Legislature. These motions are: number 1, exclude female bears from hunting; number 2, disallow the use of dogs as a hunting method; number 3, shorten the season to end December 1st. Let's go back to the first one, excluding female bears from being hunted. The motion to exclude female bears from being hunted failed to advance from the Bear Committee by a tie vote of 2-2. Proponents of this exclusion argued that the intent of the current NAC to protect mother bears and cubs in light of the current research in bear behavior fails to do so. Current NAC does not allow the killing of a female bear who is accompanied by a cub or cubs. However, current scientific studies clearly demonstrate mother bears routinely leave their cubs in a safe place while they independently forage for food, etc., without them. No Bear Hunt Nevada has long argued that a deficiency of the current bear management system is its failure to recognize and protect the dynamics of the developmental history of mother bear and cubs. At the time of the hunt, while approximately 50% of the cubs might be weaned, and thus their mother be labeled, in quotes, dry, unquote, in a mortality report, the importance of that mother to her cubs still exists. As stated by 3 different researchers, Rogers, 1987, Lee and Vaughn, 2004, Mazur, 2010, and many more, quote, mother bears provision for and protect their cubs until they are 16 to 17 months, unquote. We find it also distressing that in the 2015 bear hunt, a hunter who killed a lactating female has not been cited under current NAC, but simply taken at his word that he did not observe the cubs present. It is the hunter's responsibility to assess the status of the animal before harvesting to be sure it is a legal kill. If the word of the hunter is all that is required when enforcing current NAC, we can expect this regulation to be additionally ineffective at protecting mother bears and cubs. Female bears of reproductive age are either pregnant or raising cubs at the time of the hunt. They are the cornerstone of Nevada's small bear population. Until and unless, quote, no harm, unquote, can be proven, or how hunting female bears is helping to protect and conserve Nevada bears can be shown, we ask the Commission to exclude female bears from being hunted. Next, disallow the use of hounds as a hunting method. This motion also failed to advance from the Bear Committee in a tie vote of 2-2. Proponents for banning dogs presented arguments that have led to bear hunting with dogs being banned in half of the states conducting bear hunts. In the western United States, these include Colorado, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and California. Those favoring the use of dogs argue that it is the most efficient method for sexing a bear, thus improving hunter selectivity when harvesting animals. As has been statistically shown already in other states, evidence from the Nevada 2015 bear hunt continues to disprove this claim. Of the 14 bears killed in a 2015 hunt, 10 were taken using hounds. All 10 were harvested in one hunt unit, Unit 291, as were 11 of the 14 total. 5 were female and 5 were male. Given that Nevada's bear population has a 2-to-1 male-female bias, or differently stated, one has 2 times the chance of encountering a male versus female, this becomes even more significant. The females killed using hounds ranged in age from 3 to 9 years old. 4 of the 5 weighed 150 pounds, and 1 weighed 175 pounds. Of particular interest is that on the mortality report of the 150-pound female bear killed on December 1st, the agent listed her condition as a 3, or, quote, good average for the time of the year, unquote. However, on the bear data report comments, the same agent stated, quote, dry, not in good shape, ribs poking out, stomach sucked up into body cavity, not fat, dash, not good, especially for this late in the season, unquote. This bear weighed the same amount as 3 of the other 4 females killed in the hunt using hounds. None of this suggests to us that the use of hounds as a hunting method is helping to protect and conserve bears or aid hunter selectivity when harvesting an individual. Rather, the reasoning of states banning this practice as being cruel, unnecessary, and unsporting prevails. We ask the Commission to join other Western states that have already evolved their concepts of what constitutes ethical hunting by disallowing the use of dogs as a method for bear hunting in Nevada. Next, shorten the season to end December 1st. When introduced in Bear Committee, this motion passed 3-2. But one of those voting in favor switched his vote to nay when the item came before the Commission. Proponents of shortening the season argue that in light of there being very little hunting in December, to begin with, shortening the season could reduce stress to bears at a particularly vulnerable time when most are preparing to or have entered hibernation. Rather than disallow hunting bears in dens, shortening the season seemed the more reasonable approach. The 2015 hunt continued this trend, with only 1 bear taken in December, that being on the first day of the month. The consideration of fair chase ethics and the unique physiology of bears, we ask the Commission to shorten the bear hunting season to end December 1st. Thank you for considering our comments as well as for serving Nevadans and setting policy for the public trust of wildlife. Catherine Bricker, Executive Director, NoBearHuntNevada.org.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I gave you a little latitude there so we could get the whole letter in because it did just show up today, so everyone in the room has an opportunity to hear that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next public comment.
Mr. Chair, Commission, Jana Wright, Clark County. I once again voice my opposition to a bear hunt in Nevada, as I do not think it has been shown to be anything other than a trophy hunt, and it is not a management tool for the department. I am addressing the Commission on the special regulations part of the written agenda item. I suggest the Commission not allow the use of hounds with GPS collars, as this is a violation of Senate Bill 417, which I've put on the overhead. If there's anybody in the tower. Senate Bill 417, Section 1, 9B, the definition of harass means to molest, chase, rally, concentrate, herd, intercept, torment, or drive. I think the use of hounds violates this section. 9D goes on to talk about transmitting device means any collar or other device which is attached to any game mammal, game bird, or other wildlife, or which is placed for the express purpose of detecting any game mammal, game bird, or other wildlife and emits an electronic signal, or uses radio, telemetry, or a satellite transmission to determine the location of the game mammal, game bird, or other wildlife. The use of hounds equipped with GPS collars are used to determine the location of game mammal and are against the law as SB 417 is written. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Myers from Mount Charleston here in Las Vegas. I support shortening the bear hunting season to end December 1st. I support stopping the use of dogs as a hunting method. It's not only cruel, but it really brings into question fair chase practices. And I particularly support excluding female bears from the hunt. Any day now, I'm about to become a first-time grandmother. And I'm excited about that. And I would assume that you would agree that a human mother, should not be separated from their child. And I assume you would agree that my daughter, Skylar, should not be separated from her child. And likewise, why should a female mother bear be separated from her cubs? Also, why should the baby that my daughter is about to give birth to be separated from her mother, my daughter Skylar? In the same way, why should these small bear cubs be separated from their own mother? I mean, this is a major ethical question that I think that you should consider. Just because hunters can kill female bear, why should they kill female bears? I thank you for your attention.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, Karen Lane, I'm responding to CR 16-10. I want to say, first of all, that I do agree with many of the comments, particularly no bear hunt Nevada, those comments that were made and the comments of the other speakers. I would also point out with respect to the, I'm not a fan of the bear hunt. I think it goes back to what Commissioner McNinch says in terms of people's perception. And unfortunately, my sense is that many people's perception of this department, if you look in social media particularly, is based on what happens in the bear hunt. And every time you can watch during the bear season, every time a bear is killed, there's a big discussion that goes on in social media about this hunt. And I keep asking you if it's worth it. You know, we see the information, how many tags are sold, but at some point, you have to look beyond the money that's generated. I would say with respect to the 2016 season dates, my suggestion is to look at the last bear hunt seasons, and I believe like 2015, the last bear was killed, as pointed out previously, on December the 1st. I think there are very few bears that are killed in December. Most of them were done prior to that, and I question the December 31st date. Also, as pointed out as well, almost all the bears were killed in Hunt Unit 192. I actually had a GIS analyst plot the coordinates of those, and it's striking in terms of how those bears are killed in 192. So I would say I don't agree with the hunt, but I do certainly agree with the conditions that are placed on 192. I think that needs to be explored further. Thank you.
Public comment in Las Vegas. Yep, come on up.
Yes, hello, Connie Howard again. Well, you won't be surprised to know that I'm opposed to the bear hunt and that I do support the recommendations of No Bear Hunt Nevada. And but a couple kind of additional points and comments. One, I really hope that if the commission does consider any of No Bear Hunt's recommendations, that you please do not do a sort of tit for tat thing. I think that just poisons the conversation and it makes us even more skeptical that what's being done for the wildlife is being done for the wildlife's sake. And what I mean is, please don't say, well, if we're not going to kill females, we'll make the season 3 months longer. We're not here for a tit for tat conversation. We're here because we care about the conservation of the species and we think it's wrong to be hunting them. So that's one concern. Two specific questions, and I hope they could be answered. It is my understanding, and I do not know the hunt unit numbers, that it might be 192, but it is my understanding that a couple bears that were problem bears, garbage bears from Tahoe, then were transported into the hunt units and killed. I think that would be very unfortunate if this is true. And I really would like to know the answer on that. I mean, are we transporting problem bears taking them from Tahoe and putting them to hunt units just to see them shot. I think that would be an unfortunate, and I'd like to know the answer to that. A second one, Pat Jackson provided a little bit of data on other mortality. I think there were some hit by car. It was also my understanding that this year, I believe it was a high percentage of your research bears died. And I think if that's true, we need transparency about it. I don't think you start research projects and have mortality without telling us. So I would like to know about that. I would like to know the exact numbers of bears that died in research and what happened. So thank you so much.
Dacia Newman, President of Nevada Political Action for Animals. I think as some of the board members here today started out in, I think, about 2010, and I appeared before you with the outcry of the general public with their concern of the black bear trophy hunt. Now it is 6 years later, and this is still lingering on. The public outcry has not changed. I get calls every day concerning when is this trophy hunt going to be opposed? So here I am today. We oppose Nevada Political Action for Animals, oppose the trophy hunt, period. But it looks like it's going to continue on. And with that being said, I just want to make it clear that we are in agreement with the other speakers that have brought up the proposal that the hunt would exclude the female bears, and also the limitation of the hound hunt, and to shorten the season to December 1st. So I hope at this point you'll at least take that into consideration, because the public's opinion is still the same, and perception is everything. Thank you.
Additional public comment in Las Vegas.
Sean Shea for myself. I believe there was someone that mentioned killing a female with cubs was not illegal. NAC 502373, that is against the law. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I hear about this electronic switches and stuff. What it is a lot of that means a tree switch. So if Nevada doesn't have a tree switch. So I mean, if that dog is at a tree and it looks up, the switch goes off. We don't allow that. And the other thing, a collar on a dog does not locate the animal. The collar on the dog locates the dog. And a lot of the dogs that I find that have ran off, that's the only way I can find them, is find them. And there's no other animal other than that dog there. So when I hear that, and then when it all comes down to it, a lot of these people make it sound like the state is out just to kill everything. We're just to kill everything. It's a management tool. And if the state didn't feel it was a good management tool, because throughout the whole United States, the bear populations is taking off, the state wouldn't recommend any quotas. They really wouldn't if they didn't think it was a good way to manage bears. So when I hear all this stuff that it's not the right thing to do, it's not the right thing to do. If it wasn't the right thing to do, the state would not throw that it is the right thing to do out there. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Last call for public comment in Las Vegas. All right, hearing none. Reno, public comment, please.
Elaine Carrick, Reno, Nevada. The fifth black bear hunt season has just ended, and like other people quoting down in Las Vegas, the hunt is not to manage bears in any way. This small population of 400 plus bears does not need management. There is no best available science that supports killing up to 20 bears a year. This hunt is simply a trophy hunt for a tiny group of hunters. Surveys across the country have shown that the public is against trophy hunting. During the past 5-year hunting seasons, the public has expressed its outrage over the hunt through emails, letters, signing petitions. If the public outrage is not enough. Other issues are there's no science or management reasons for the hunt, harassment by packs of dogs with GPS collars create a lack of fair chase. And this year, a lactating female bear was accidentally killed with a cub who will probably starve to death. This is a cruel and unnecessary death. It's not included in the count, but the bear will be taken out of the gene pool. Killing should never be accidental. Also, in the 2016 bear status report that we have, a heavy harvest of female bears is listed at 40%. In this 215 bear season, the percent of female killed were 43%. This is more than a heavy harvest. It's 83% killed were females. This certainly puts into question that our small bear population cannot sustain this kind of heavy harvesting. It's past time for this hunt to stop. The season should be set at 1 day and the quota set at 0 in the May meeting. All these negative actions are more than enough to stop this bear hunt. The bear hunt was approved by commissioners who were on the board 5 years ago, and it continues to be a black eye for the Wildlife Commission today. This is a new commission, and for the past 5 years, you have heard the strong public arguments against killing Nevada's bears. You can end the unnecessarily killing of this iconic animal. Set the hunt season at 1 day. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Simeo. I just wanted to also reiterate my strong opposition to the bear hunt, Regulation 1610. I ask that you set the quota at 0 for 2016, and I also agree with the other people who have opposed this hunt. It's overdue and it needs to end. Thank you.
My name is Carol Ann Weed, and of course I'm against the bear hunt. And my first question here is on your paper that says other bear mortalities. I see a number of 8 bears killed for public safety, and I just want to know what number of these deaths are due to the human mismanagement of garbage. I think that should be set out so that we know how many humans are accountable for these bear deaths. Then on your 215 bear hunt list, the 14 bears harvested, I don't see anything there indicating that you have tracked and found an illegal number of kills. So there must be. You must have investigated that and found them, so we'd like to know what those are. I personally heard an eyewitness account from a person in the Pine Nuts who saw 2 quads, one with a dead grown bear in the back, the other with a dead cub. When female bears are hunted, there is always the risk that a cub or cubs will be hidden in a den or otherwise not visible while tracking and killing the female. Therefore, the bear population is being decimated even further than your records will show because of the death of cubs each year from starvation or predation. So I'd like to know what the number of illegal bear deaths tally is. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Reno. I support the idea of dropping December off the season length this year. By the way, with the previous speaker who mentioned that GPS collars are only for use in finding dogs, I did like a proposed regulation from Colorado that I think Kathy Smith mentioned a few months ago, that if that's true, with bear hunters and lion hunters, then when they go get their dogs, on the GPS collar, they should leave their guns in their truck. Seems like that would be a reasonable regulation to consider. Of course, you can imagine what the sportsman will say about it. Nonetheless, this bear hunt continues to be an embarrassment, in my view, for Nevada. It really highlights for me the issue that the public is increasingly becoming aware of with respect to management of its public resource. And that is, what does the animal deserve in terms of a break, and how should we view that as compared to the first commandment of Fish and Game Management, which is hunter opportunity? And where do these two factors play together? Which one trumps the other? Clearly, in this case, with the bear hunt, hunter opportunity trumps any consideration for the animal, particularly with respect to the December month, which should be left to the bears to prepare for hibernation. I think that's what makes this whole thing abominable. And we joke sometimes that, instead of the Nevada Department of Wildlife being its name, it should really be the Nevada Department of Hunter Opportunity, certainly with respect to some of these aspects. So it's an embarrassment. It's a little boutique hunt. It's a trophy hunt. The public doesn't like it, and you continue to get a black eye for condoning it. So it seems to me sooner or later it has to go away. Thank you.
Trish Swain, Trail Safe Nevada. I agree with everything that's been said in opposition to the bear hunt. I cannot imagine asking for a better prepared group to present the case against this hunt. You have heard scientific justification for ending the hunt. You have heard how it is giving you a black eye, and indeed that's the case. I have a newsletter that goes out to over 1,500 people, and over again people ask me about the bear hunt. It's the first question that comes to people's minds when the topic of wildlife management comes up, and there's no question that what I've seen of public opinion is strongly against it. So perhaps that's nothing new to add, but I'm strongly opposed to this hunt, and I think a 0-day season would be a great idea.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, Alan Solini. I understand a bear was killed by NDOW, drowned in a pond while being chased in Lyon County recently, and this is related to the regulation at hand, because I'm wondering, when these disasters occur, are quotas lowered, or why are they not lowered to compensate for the loss of the animal in total? And if not, why not? And I would like to add a comment that I don't appreciate this repeated characterization by persons representing this body that folks who question methods, seasons, or aspects of hunting as reflected in your proposed regulations should not be listened to, because they're all one person or one group. I think quite the contrary. We have a wide variety of persons here with different views on hunting and so forth, and I think that you should listen to them, and in listening to them and listening to us, these comments and ideas should be reflected in your decisions. Thank you.
For the record, Fred Volz. Because we can, we should. This failed mantra has propelled premeditated and unwarranted bear deaths in this state. As with mountain lions, no science exists that slaughtering these animals accomplishes any constructive end. It is not a thoughtful management tool. The public has expressed strong opposition to the hunt, but the Commission has ignored the public it is supposed to represent, favoring hunter convenience, opportunity, and success. The killing of females is particularly egregious given the uncertain population numbers and inability to discern strong versus weak members of the species for death, not harvest, as is so often the euphemism used. Will the slaughter continue, or will the public and wildlife the Commission is supposed to represent be respected? Thank you.
Bobby McCollum, I just have a question that I see different answers in different places. What is the actual population of bears in Nevada? Sometimes you see it's 500. Sometimes you see a range of 300 to 700. It seems that you need to answer a basic question first of what is the population before you can set a quota. Thank you.
Janelle Richards. I've come and testified several times about the bear hunt, and every time it is such a depressing thing to pursue because I know what your vote's going to be before you even make it. I wonder why we have to have something so barbaric as dogs chasing these poor animals who are not even meant to run for maybe up to 10 hours until they're so exhausted that they climb into a tree and they're very easy prey. Why does Nevada have to be such a barbaric state that allows something like this? The public is constantly telling you that they don't want this stupid bear hunt, and you never listen to the majority. You favor the minority, the few people, the hunters, that want the chance to kill. And is it going to be now that we kill anything that walks on four legs? It's out there and available. We want it. We're going to kill it. I wonder, when are you finally going to listen to the public? You represent the entire state, not just the hunters. The bear hunt has got to end.
No further comment in Reno. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Reno. Elko, any additions to your venue?
No comment, no additions. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we'll bring it back to the commission. Are there additional discussions or questions of the department? Commissioner Hubbs?
Are these comments only directed to the department or just comments in general?
You're certainly welcome for general comments at this time.
I guess I'll go ahead and lead. Today, I am not going to support the bear hunt just because of the general public's outcry against this hunt. Although I don't think that there's any serious or negative consequences to the bear populations at this point, I just do believe that I have to listen to our public in general in my capacity up here today. I hope, and I know I'm in the minority up here, but I do hope that possibly some of our commissioners may consider amending our current season to shorten it. I think that may help some of the agitation, and I just wanted to put that out there today.
And I should clarify, two things that came up during comments, whether they're from cabs or individuals, were the use of shotguns on the hunt and also the use of hounds in the hunt. And neither one of those items can be changed today. Those are handled under separate NACs. So at some point in the future, those conversations may come up, but they certainly won't be changed today. So just for clarity on that. Commissioner Young.
Mr. Chairman, what can we change in this today? Tell me the options that we have.
Just about anything that's on your sheet under CR 1610.
Okay.
So the hunt, the unit groups, the season, the special regulations. Does that clarify your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Additional question or conversation?
Chairman Drew.
Commissioner Johnston.
I've heard a lot of comments that the commission doesn't listen to the public, and I probably received maybe about 100 emails or more on this topic. I read every single one of them. People have the right to say what they want to say, and I read them even when the email under the subject line is terrorists, and says, I am convinced, and pardon the grammatical errors I'm reading, so I am convinced that NV Wildlife Commission are ISIS-like. With your zealous, heinous desire to kill, and kill, I hope you incur the wrath of God. I do listen to that. I read it. And I don't believe that statements like that, comparing this commission to ISIS, is reflective of mainstream opinion. Now, like I said, people have the right to express their views. They can send such emails, and I read such emails. But when I receive emails like that, it's hard for me to believe that that's a mainstream view, and I'm certainly not. And there were some emails, too, in support of the hunt. They characterized those opposed as being the crazy people. That, to me, doesn't reflect, I believe, the mainstream view of those who support the hunt. But that type of dialogue, it's not necessary. I appreciate the public's input. Another email said that people engaged in this type of sport are psychopaths. Unfortunately, some with this same mental deficiency for empathy are drawn to positions of power where they make decisions with little to no regard for people or wildlife. I just felt compelled to kind of read some of these public comments because it's being suggested that we don't listen to them. I read every email that I received that was forwarded on by the department that I received directly, and I do read them. I'm not so certain there's an actual majority of the public that is opposed to the bear hunt, but rather a very vocal minority that is opposed to the bear hunt. I look at the number of emails received, and many of them didn't even come from Nevada residents. Some were even from overseas in foreign countries. The suggestion it's an embarrassment to Nevada, when I did some research, a lot of states have bear hunts. I'm not convinced that it's just automatic embarrassment. We're not like the only state in the United States that has a bear hunt. I recognize the emotional issue, but I'm not so certain that we're ignoring the will of the majority if the bear hunt continues. I don't believe that. Certainly when you look at the numbers of emails received and you compare that to the number of people who actually apply to draw a bear tag, and just because we disagree with those who may oppose the bear hunt doesn't mean we're not listening to the public and hearing your concerns and your position on issues. That's not the case. I do take the time to listen to everyone today, to read the letter that was submitted this morning. I do those things. Just because I may not follow the same course of action doesn't mean I'm just rejecting public input or not listening to it. I do listen to it. And then I weigh the various factors in making a decision. So I felt kind of compelled to outline some of these public comments that were received, and people can engage in the personal attacks. They have the right to do that, but I think it detracts from the discussion that needs to be had. So, and I wanted to make clear to everyone that I do listen to the public's input and read the correspondence and take it into consideration when making decisions.
Commissioner Young?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In my 3.5 years on the commission, this thing has been just a constant thorn in our sides, in my opinion. I'm down here in Las Vegas. I'm originally from northern Nevada. I know that bear hunting is a new thing to the people up there, and unfortunately, it takes place in an area where there's a lot of residential concerns, and people live and work around these bears. I'll tell you what, it chews up a lot of valuable time of this commission and NDOW, this hunt, and I'm not sure that I'm not sure the value of it. I disregard all the negative stuff like Commissioner Johnson. I could care less what people say. I've had a lot worse things said about me when I was on the police department or the sheriff of this county. But, I read the letters too, and there's a lot of very, very well thought out, reasonable people involved in that No Bear Hunt Nevada. And I know not all of them are Nevadans, but there's quite a few people from the Reno Tahoe area that I respect. I've come to respect. I listen to them. They make some good points, and I'm just not sure that this hunt gives us a heck of a lot at the end of the day. I'll tell you what, it chews up a lot of time, and for a guy like me, I don't like wasting time. And you know, we just talk about the same things over and over for 14 bears to be killed. If we need to get rid of bears, we could do that without a hunt for sportsmen in some other method with NDOW. I'm fairly certain of that they could, you know, hire somebody if it's a problem bear or there's an area there. So I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this thing, but I'm not afraid at all whatsoever to shorten the season and eliminate the month of December, the Christmas month, and cut this thing down to and I'm not an appeaser, but I'm just not sold on bear hunting. Just, you know, I'm a fourth generation native Nevada, and it's a relatively new thing here, and I'm not big on it. I would never hunt them, and I don't like the way they're hunted, and I think it is some of the people that make some of these comments make some points that I think we need to start considering once in a while. Thank you.
Commissioner McNinch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, Commissioner Johnson, I appreciate your comments. You know, we do listen. We disagree at times, but we all listen up here, and you know, I guess I appreciate you bringing it forward, because it's one of those things. Do you say something or not? Do you hit the beehive? But the bottom line is that I hear over and over and over that we've heard from so many people, dozens and dozens and dozens. And I want you to know that some of those people that you align yourselves with, the people that have spoken out against the hunt today, you know, that they represent your thoughts, that you're in the same boat with them. Just understand that some of them are referring to you as terrorists. Some of you wish your family ill. It doesn't stop with, you know, with the name calling. It gets real personal. And I can tell you that it's, if you're in alignment with those people, we're going to disagree at many, many levels. I can tell you that. And so just understand that we do get, it's not just a simple, you know, statement expressing a concern or opinion. It goes way deeper than that. As far as the hunt itself, I think everybody up here, probably several people in the audience, know that I'm not in support of the, you know, I haven't been in support of the long season. I don't think it's asking too much to remove December, and with this recent bear hunt, we had one bear early in December, I believe, removed. I think I recognize that it's largely symbolic, but I guess the other thing that floats around in my mind is, you know, we still don't know how many, you know, we still don't know in some of these areas, you know, if bears are being chased for that month. We don't know those things. We know if there's one taken. But we don't know what else might be going on in that time frame, and that I don't. For me, it's not a big deal to cut that month off, that December month, and put it on there. I'm certainly not in favor of extending the season at all, one way or the other. So that's where I stand right now.
Additional comments?
Commissioner, I just want to clarify one thing. If I suggested that the people who spoke today in public in opposition to the bear hunt have aligned themselves with those who made outrageous comments, I didn't mean to suggest that. I think there is a big distinction between someone who comes to a public meeting and expresses their opposition to the hunt in the manner they've done today versus someone who sits behind a computer screen, types an email, and sends it off in the manner that some of these messages. So I wasn't trying to suggest that people are aligning themselves with those who make those kind of comments, but if I did, I apologize, because that was not my intent. And like I said, I view a substantial difference between someone who comes and states their view in a public meeting in a thoughtful manner versus those who fire off an anonymous email. The other thing I did want to say, though, is a lot of the public comments and the emails I did receive were not limited to the bear hunt. It was opposition to all hunting in general, and that is also, you know, that view is not consistent with the majority of the public. And if you're opposed to all hunting in general and then delve that into an opposition to the bear hunt, that is a slightly different position than what we have here today. So I felt I needed to make that clarification.
Additional comments? Commissioner Bliss?
Thank you, Chairman Drew. I agree with a lot of the comments that were said, that's been said up here today by all sides. sitting in on this process for the last 3 years or even longer, 3 years on the commission. There's been some good points, good valid points made on either side. There's parts that I agree 100% with some of the stuff that Mr. Shea said with the collars and locating dogs and stuff like that, and I agree with that. The one thing that I do agree with that I heard today, I hate to refer to it as the other side, but the other comments with a different view is going hunt them through the end of December. I personally don't have a problem and think it may be the right thing to do to shorten the season to that December 1st timeline.
Additional comments? Commissioner Valentine?
Thank you, Chairman Drew. I have no problem shortening the season either. It seems to be a theme up here with me this meeting, but I would address a question. On the female bear, is there a certain number or a certain percentage on that quota that once we reach that, the hunt ends?
I'll let Staff Specialist, Game Chief Brian answer that.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Valentine, would you mind repeating the question?
All right, if we allow a quota of 20 bear, is there a certain number of female bears that once we hit that number, the season ends?
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is that that's the quota. If we reach 20, it doesn't matter what the composition is. But if you look at the parameters that Mr. Jackson shared earlier, looking at the proportion of the harvest and looking at the age structure of the harvest, that's out of the bear management plan that was developed, and we have not been. And typically, you may have 1 year, like for instance, it was pointed out this year, 43% of the. I can't remember the exact statistics, but on the presentation there was one that had kind of moved into the moderate harvest, but the other two were still within light harvest. And if you look at a 3-year average, it's still indicative of a light harvest. Basically, what we're trying to do is balance that removal, and we look at it over time.
Okay, so we've been having the bear hunt for 5 years now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And our average is below that 30% threshold as far as female take.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Valentine, that is also correct.
All right, I was just thinking out loud that perhaps at some point in time we should look at making 30% the cutoff, so that when we reach a point in the bear hunt when we harvest 6 female bears, the hunt ends. But that's just an idea I'm throwing out there.
And that would probably be a discussion for May. I think, Brian, one of the comments or one of the items that we have in our bear report was that we wanted to maintain a hunt in a manner that either maintained or allowed the population to continue to increase. So from what you're seeing in terms of the data from a population standpoint, the studies we have going, the returns from the hunt, is it still your opinion that our population is either stable to increasing and expanding, or has something changed?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we have no indication that things have changed. What we looked at, and it was in the report that was provided to the commission last year, was included as part of the bear report to the legislature last year, and I'm going from memory, but we've used each successive year data to look at that population estimate, and that population was showing a positive lambda. In other words, the growth rate was still increasing. The last population estimate, as I recall, and I'm going from memory, but it's approximately 445 bears plus or minus 14. So that we've got some of the tightest confidence intervals on this population estimate. It's been on a growth. We don't have an estimate from this year, so I can't say for certain that the population has continued to grow. But we look at the sustained level of harvest that we've had in this population over the course of time, we have absolutely no reason to believe that has changed. It's going to be stable, possibly slightly increasing. The comments Commissioner Valentine shared about, looking at a different way of addressing a cutoff. Again, this is something that we want to discuss through the hunt guidelines process, something we want to bring forward. And currently, if you look at the direction that the commission has provided to the department, there's two different sets of directions. Our bear plan would indicate that there's room for season for an increase in tag quota. We could increase the harvest. We could increase the range in which the units in which the bear hunt is conducted. However, the bear report that was each of the recommendations that did come out of the bear committee were unanimous from the committee. Each of the recommendations were adopted unanimously by the commission and passed on to the legislature. Those recommendations suggested that we keep everything the same for a period of time and continue to evaluate it. For that reason, the department has brought forward no changes in the recommendation this year from what you've seen in previous years. If we followed our bear plan, there would be room for increased harvest recommendations.
Maybe while you're up there, Brian, I'd make one point on the ending season dates and being December 31st. And obviously I have the pleasure of living in the Carson Valley and working in Carson City, and we have bears frequently. But in terms of the end season date and what bears are out and about in December, it seems to me that an awful lot of that is weather dependent, and it seems to me that the further you go into the season, the more likely you are to either have male bears only out or primarily male bears out, or bears that have become habituated to human food sources. Am I misstating that when I make those statements and observations?
Mr. Chairman, you are absolutely correct. What research has demonstrated throughout the range of bears is that typically the first bears that will go into a den tend to be pregnant females that will be having birth that year. The next ones that go in are the females, and then the adult males tend to be the last bears that on average go into dens. Now that doesn't mean at some point you won't find because of the variation within a population, you may see a female later than an individual male, but on average, opening seasons later, keeping them open later, what you tend to target are the males, and you provide more protection for females.
Okay, one other comment that I would make is, I hear Commissioner Young, we spent a lot of time on this issue. It's been controversial. We've spent an awful lot of time over the years, and not even at this commission level, but as a committee level, and I'm looking at my colleague, Commissioner McNitch, on trying to strike a balance. It's an iterative process. We've made iterations. You can see per the comments, there's people that want to broaden things out still, and there's people that want to shrink things down still. I'm still of the opinion that we're probably at as about a close to middle ground as we can get. The bottom line is we can make all the changes we want. As long as there's a season, there's going to be a controversy. And we're not unique in that. If you go to Arizona or Colorado or California, I joked about this in our committee meetings, bears are sexy. People like bears, whether they're sportsmen or not sportsmen. And as long as you have a hunt, there's going to be some level of controversy no matter what the parameters. I think we've done a very good job at coming a long ways in my 4.5 years on this commission to try and find some semblance of a hunt that makes sense for Nevada, and I'm comfortable with what's being presented today. Additional questions or comments? Commissioner Hubbs.
I do have a question in regard to the season. Is there anything about the bear species in and of itself in which it would still be out late in the season, meaning would bears that may not have the fatty reserve to get through hibernation periods still be out trying to feed at that time? I guess my point might be is maybe those are somewhat of the weakened species, the ones that can't get through that period of torpor that they need to get through the winter.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Hubbs, the nutritional plane on which an animal is, especially the bears, are operating certainly influences their ability to hibernate. And so if a bear is undernourished, there is the likelihood that that animal may be out longer. That is correct.
So I guess in back to the commission, I'd like to say, well, perhaps those species that are out are ones that need to be left alone during that time.
Additional questions or comment? Commissioner McNish?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I mean, that's why these conversations are important. For me then, because I've got concerns with the hunting of the females. I've had that concern. I've expressed it many times. So in my mind, maybe the conversation for me shifts from the December timeframe, whether it's this year or next or whenever, to the beginning of the season. Part of the concerns, I think Sean had come up and was making a comment about where that season had shifted to where it is, and I thought part of it had to do with heat, but at the same time, I think you were right in your thought. But where I'm headed is that starting the season later, in my mind, might actually resolve a couple of issues in my mind, with regards to the females and taking some of that pressure off at a tough time of year especially for the females. It's a tough time of year.
Additional questions or comment? Commissioner Young?
Do either of you guys know the demographic from geographically, who's putting in for these tags from statewide basis? I mean, certainly I represent Clark County down here as a sportsman. We don't have any bears down here. Never have had any bears down here other than ones that come to the zoo. And like I said, 75% of the population of this state lives down here, and I'd like to see some other resources. My thinking process, and I'm not trying to insult bear hunters, but the fishing has gone to hell down here in southern Nevada. NDOW has X amount of dollars and X amount of resources. 75% of the people that pay the state taxes live in this county, and I want to know who's putting in for these bear tags. Like I said, I have no emotional tie to it whatsoever, nor does anybody. Nobody grew up here in this state hunting bears. It's a newfound toy for some people, and I'd like to know who it is that's hunting them.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Young, I'm not certain that we would be able to answer that question today, but I'm certain we could get that information for you.
Yeah, I think it is important for us to consider who we're serving with this thing. To give 14 bears killed, I'd like to know, where the big thing is. I don't know a single person in my crowd down here in southern Nevada that puts in for a bear tag. And of course, I hang out with a lot of cops, and then a lot of them hunt, but it's deer and elk, antelope. I don't know anybody hunting bears down here in southern Nevada where 75% of the population live.
Commissioner Bliss?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Drew. I just had one more a question I'd like answered as well, and it was brought up during public comment about problem bears and how the problem bear is handled, and if any of those problem bears have been released into areas just for the purpose of hunting that was kind of indicated. Is there any way, Mr. Wakeling, that you could touch on that comment for me?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bliss, if I understood the comment, basically, looking at the number of problem bears that are being removed through the harvest, is it, something along those lines? I apologize. I was trying to answer a prior question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess the question, how I understood it, was if there's problem bears, have any of these problem bears been released into hunting in units that are being hunted?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, what we try to do is if we have a bear that is creating that is involved in a nuisance situation, we are currently limited on where we can release those bears. We want to release them within occupied habitat. And so in some instances, if that bear has crossed the line, broken into a residence, for instance, in that case, we're going to euthanize the bear because they learn those kind of bad habits and they become a public safety risk. If we can, we will try to release them. in other states, Arizona, for instance, the one I'm most familiar with, when I was working in Arizona, we would always make an effort to remove that bear at least 150 miles in order to be able to give it the greatest chance that it would not move back to the place where the nuisance incident occurred. That's really just not an option here in Nevada. We try to move them as far away as possible, and it is not our intent to place them in a situation for a number of reasons. For one, if we've handled this bear, recently, this bear typically has some drugs in it, and so we have an ear tag that we'll place in that animal, and if that animal is harvested, we ask that hunter to contact us to determine whether or not it's safe to consume it. And so that's one of the concerns. We're not trying to put an animal out in a situation where the hunter's not going to be able to actually consume the meat that he's harvested. But there have been instances where or not just radio mark, but ear tag bears that have been relocated have been harvested. On average, it happens fairly rarely, and I believe Director Robb, Deputy Director Robb, has some additional comment.
Yes, as a follow-up to that, I heard that in public comment, and I started looking through the information that is posted on NDAL's website. We have every bear that's harvested through the hunt on our website, and every bear that NDAL has handled in the past 12 months is on our website. And I went through the information that's posted on our website, and there was 2 bears harvested in last year that had ear tags, Blue 34 and Yellow 12. Blue 34 was not a problem bear. It was a research bear that was captured in the Pine Nut Range capture project we had to determine wildland bear densities. That bear was harvested. It was harvested in the same range that it was taken out, that we found it in. Yellow 12, we'd had our hands on that bear a few times in prior years. The last time we relocated that bear, it was relocated to Nye Canyon in the south end of the Sweetwaters, Pine Nuts, south of the Pine Nuts. That bear was actually harvested in Hunter Creek Canyon. It was a rather large bear. We'd had our hands on it a few times, and when that bear was harvested, it was full of garbage, banana peels, pieces of beer bottles, just 15 hot dogs. It was just full of human subsidy. So those were the only 2 bears with ear tags taken last year.
Commissioner Young?
Deputy Director Robb, or somebody, can you kind of refresh my memory on the history, the historical migration of these bears, and how long this number that we have now has been in Nevada? I was always thought they came from California, the majority of them. We had maybe a few, but not anywhere near the population we have now. And what those years were, and my brief time here on the commission, it seems like the population center was the magnet, particularly with garbage and feeding them, and in the Tahoe Basin. Just kind of give, I don't know if Kirsten knows a lot about it either. She's new to the commission. Just to kind of give us Southern Nevada folks a little bit more of a perspective on this.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Young. Bears have occupied the Tahoe Basin, the Sierra Range there for quite a number of years. This isn't like they just showed up in the last 3 weeks or the last 5 years even. They've been there for quite a while. You did mention the aspect of the influence of the urban setting there, and one of the things that we do know, based on the research that has been conducted not only by the Nevada Department of Wildlife, UNR, but also something that we see across the nation, is when any wildlife is associated with plentiful food sources and for bears within the urban interface, they do thrive there. Primarily because they have access to a food subsidy that they wouldn't have otherwise. And so within that area, there is the bears get larger, their home ranges are smaller, the population can be more abundant, And so all of those factors play a role there. One of the research, ongoing genetic research things that was identified through Mr. Jackson's presentation looked at basically gene flow. Where are the bears most closely related? Mr. Jackson, you probably got a more recent memory of that than I do, but my sense is that most of the movement does come from the California-Oregon front. Probably does most closely align with that bear population there. Mr. Jackson, I don't know if you have anything more to add.
That project is a heritage project, I believe, through the University of Tennessee, and our field biologist, Carl Lackey. He provided those slides in a very brief update, and I've never spoken with that graduate student, and I have not seen that manuscript, so I can't add anything.
So I'm not sure if everybody could hear that, but essentially we didn't have a whole lot more to add than what was provided on the slide. Additional question or comment? Commissioner Moran?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question that I have is has last year's harvest been typical to what has happened relative in the previous years relative to the harvest numbers in the month of December?
I have that information on my laptop, but I do not know that off the top of my head.
Commissioner Morai, would you like him to retrieve that as we discuss this matter? Pat, if you could please look that up.
Sure.
Additional questions? Commissioner Hubbs?
This is something I think that would be valid to put in the record today. I just would, in talking with some of the department, just to better prepare for today's meeting, I was informed again about the resources that are allocated for the tags to hunt the bears, and I believe there is some type of match that might be available. And just in general, that these resources are used for other purposes for non-game species as well, for management of habitat. So I guess what I'm saying is, even though there may be an outcry against this type of hunt, these resources are used for wildlife in general and for some wonderful things in terms of non-game species as well.
Additional questions or comments? Mr. Jackson, do you have an answer for us?
It's going to be a minute.
Okay. Further discussion at this point? All right, let's go ahead and take 5. Actually, let's reconvene at 1. We'll give Mr. Jackson just a couple minutes to get the information, and we'll reconvene at 1, and then we're going to have to be moving. So 1 o'clock, short break. All right, if folks could start finding their seats, we're going to start in literally a minute. Reno, please give me a sound check.
Good here in Reno. Can hear you good. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Is that right? I understand.
All right, a quick announcement before we reconvene. We will take a short lunch at the end of this agenda item, so people have asked me that. We're going to take a short break. But with that being said, it's almost 1 o'clock by my watch. Mr. Jackson, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go ahead and reconvene the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners meeting here in Las Vegas on January 30th. We are on item number 20, Commission General Regulation 1610, 2016 black bear season. And Mr. Morai had a question of Mr. Jackson in terms of December harvest, and I believe Mr. Jackson has a question or answer to that question for us.
Pat Jackson, Predator Management Staff Specialist for the record. I'd also like to add, I believe after me, Brian has some information for Commissioner Young. I'll answer mine first. In 2011, 1 bear out of 14 was harvested in December. That was a male. In 2012, 2 bears were harvested in December. They were both males. No bears were harvested in December in 2013. In 2014, 1 bear was harvested. That was a male. In 2015, 1 bear was harvested, and that was a female.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Morai? Okay. Mr. Wakeling.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Young had asked a question about, where the applicants came from. Right now, I'm looking at a spreadsheet that systems consultants, fortunately, happen to be here, and we're able to do some analysis. And by the way, they said you're not getting drawn next year. Okay. We've got approximately 100 different counties that different applicants have applied from to get and this is just for the applications. This is not bonus point applicants. And so we're looking at for the people within Nevada, there were I gotta go back up here to the top. I'm not sure what the Okay, Moni's here. He's going to be able to explain what the numbers are, but there's like 118.
It's what happens when a biologist handles a computer. I've seen it multiple times.
Okay, and are these the applicants?
This is the count of applicants.
Okay. Okay.
There's some that I could.
Okay. And looking at this, as I am following here, there were 118 applicants from Churchill County, 221 from Clark, 165 from Douglas, 130 from Elko, 22 from Eureka, 82 from Humboldt, 43 from Lander, 26 from Lincoln, 162 from Lyon, 7 from Mineral, 44 from Nye, 53 from Pershing, 16 from Story, 801 from Washoe, 45 from White Pine, and 99 from Carson City.
Okay, just my math, skills, if they were weighted for population by those counties, I'd still say that Clark County, with 75% of the population, over 2 million people in this county, with 221 people interested in applying, is minuscule compared to areas up there. So, like I said, that's a question I needed to know in my own mind, and I appreciate the efforts you made, Brian, and that's just, you guys for doing that. Thanks a lot.
Additional questions or comments? If not, I'm willing to entertain a motion. Not everyone at once.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it.
Commissioner Valentine.
I make a motion to approve CR 16-10 2016 Black Bear season as presented, with the one caveat that we make the change to ending the season date on December 1st.
I'll second that.
So I've got a motion by Commissioner Valentine, a second by Commissioner Bliss to approve CR 1610 2016 Black Bear season as presented with one change, and that change would be to move the close date from December 31st to December 1st. Discussion or question on the motion? Commissioner Morai?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since I haven't spoken outside of asking the questions yet, I was trying to make my mind up as to what would be the determining factor of my vote, because the comments that I heard, I think I could agree and disagree with the comments about equally. And so what comes down in my mind is what makes sense. And this is kind of similar to when we were debating on whether to close the Tahoe Basin. And first of all, I want to say that I support the bear hunt. It's obvious that there are people that want to hunt by the number of applications. But what it comes down to me is what makes sense in my mind. And that's why I wanted that harvest data. And from the looks of things, for the number of bears that are harvested in the month of December, at least in my mind, I don't see that it makes sense. I don't think it will affect the people that believe in the hunt and the people that apply for the tags. I don't believe that will affect their opportunity. At the same time, some of the comments that were made as to what may be best for the bears, it puts a little bit of question in my mind as to whether we should be hunting them in December. I do not. I'm very confident that if the department recommends to hunt them till December 31st, that there's no question in their mind that is biologically sound. But I think, to wrap it up, I think I'm going to support the motion due to the fact that there are just not very many bears harvested in the month of December.
Additional comment, Commissioner Johnston?
Thank you, Chairman Drew. I'm a little torn on this motion because while there was a limited number of bears harvested in the month of December, all but one of the bears harvested in December were males. And the department gave an explanation with respect to timing of going into the den that, generally speaking, and not in all cases certainly, that the males were generally later in time. And so if there was a desire to shorten the season, I may, not that I have necessarily a desire to shorten the season, I might want to see it start October 1 and go through December 31st rather than taking out the month of December. I have, so this is a tough decision for me, I'm not certain. But given what I've heard from the department, Mr. Wakeling, the harvest data that was available, I'm not going to support the motion because I think the season should go through December 31st. And if we're going to tweak the season length, we might want to look at other alternatives.
Commissioner McNinch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in the same boat. Had I not heard that today, I would have thought to myself, well, this is in some ways symbolic, but I think I've kind of talked about the December this whole time, but after that statement today, I have to admit I'm in the same boat. I feel like the beginning of the season would be the more appropriate way to manage some of that and take a little bit of pressure off. I think it's more meaningful from a biological standpoint in the harvest of females and stuff. So, I find myself in a weird spot because I want to support the fact that there's a conversation occurring up here and that that we're trying to find some balance here. But at the same time, I guess I'm going to struggle with it a little bit, and I think I would prefer to do the beginning of the season if we're going to go there.
Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wallace?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the same feeling there, and I don't know if there's a flavor for amending the motion to maybe work on that October part, or should we just go clean and start over?
Let's get our Commissioner Young. Let's get your comment.
That's a question for Commissioner Valentine. You had a thought on that once the number of females were killed to end the season. Was that something you brought up earlier? And could you amend your motion to include that, or would that not work?
Just to clarify, that would be our quota discussion in May. Brian, am I misrepresenting that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that is correct. The quota would be set at a later date.
And if we wanted to, actually, we have a harvest objective already, so that discussion will occur in October. I'm sorry, not October. You see, you guys got me all fouled up. Blood sugar's low. I would just say I don't support the change. The one thing we have with the black bear season, I think it was deliberate in the recommendation that we made back from the committee, is that we're going to review this annually, and if we're going to look for significant changes on both the front and the back end, I'd like to ask the department to consider that before next year's season setting and run it back through the county advisory boards. Because at this point, I think we've had one recommendation to come back to December 1st, and we had a recommendation to open earlier on September 15th. and kind of minimal discussion outside of those two options, and even those two recommendations were only made by one cab, and I think no bear hunt Nevada, so that's where we sit. I wouldn't support cutting it all the way back to December 1st for the reasons I previously mentioned in my question to Mr. Wakeling. So is there an appetite for an amendment, or do we want to vote on the main motion?
I just had a quick question for you, Commissioner, I'm going to get, is it Chairman Drew? So
For
are
the
you,
time.
are you saying that you do not want to look at any type of amendment right now? Or are you, in terms of the season? Because I'm hearing a couple voices saying perhaps the earlier amendment in the season might be better from a biological perspective. I know we did have people want to cut off the season toward the end, and I'm just unclear at this time.
I'm comfortable with what the department has recommended at this point. If we want to look at alternative season structures that might make sense now that we're 4 or 5 years in, I would rather do it on the next turn in a year, but that's just me personally. So I'm not going to support the change as proposed. I wouldn't support a change on the front end at this point. So
Understood. So you're just saying that's you personally, but that it could be amended today.
yeah, absolutely, it could be.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion, Commissioner Bliss?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Drew. The reason I support shortening the season to December 1st is in the past, I'm not sure which meeting it was, but there was some discussion on the diet change in the bears in December or prior to denning, how much it went up and how much more they needed and to prepare for denning. And so that to me is why I support the December 1st end date.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, our peak denning dates are actually prior to even December 1st. Am I incorrect on that?
Mr.
October
Chair.
15th and November 15th stand out?
Mr. Chairman, that's largely correct. You know, I don't have our current dates from Mr. Karlaki's research, but typically late October for most of the other parts of the nation, and it really doesn't matter what part of the nation you're in, they do tend to be pretty close. But in kind of the initiation of denning tends to be late October, early November, and then late November for the adults, and so the males rather, and so you do see that. That's kind of the time frame.
Further discussion? All right. There's not a suggested amendment. I'm going to call for the question. Everyone clear on the motion? So the motion is to adopt the seasons as presented with the one change, and that's moving from December 31st to December 1st on the end date. Any further discussion or question on that motion? Not all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, who are the ayes? If you'd please raise your hand. Ayes are Valentine, McNinch, Morai, Young, and Bliss. Motion carries. We clear on that? Any other discussion under item 18?
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Chairman, that's so then the season, 2016 season will be September 15th through December 1st?
Correct. Staff clear on that? We got the vote? Okay. So with that, we will close item 20.